Hello and hi, my lovely loyal bloggies, and welcome to a very special edition of Clear as Smoke, where cannabis knowledge is for everyone. I am your humble host, Canna Lady 86, and it is my pleasure to introduce Ashley Bailey, an advocate for women using cannabis while pregnant. Now, this is a very important topic for everyone to start having more information about from a first person perspective. And I had the pleasure of meeting Ashley through her aunt Edie Moore, executive director of Chicago Normal, who is my mentor and who has educated me on the many benefits of cannabis. So, Ashley, just like her aunt, is adding another layer of education to how women and everyday folks use cannabis for different types of relief. So, Ashley, thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
so very exciting.
It is. It
Ashley and
is.
I think we had like what, two or three conversations, and they were
Yes.
like quick. I'm like, we have to do this story. So, Ashley, like, I talked to you before. I want people to get a scope of your experience, not
Mhm.
just as an expecting mother, but, as someone who uses cannabis for relief already
Yes.
and will soon face different opinions and backlashes of being someone who consumes while pregnant. That first move of, I'm gonna start talking about it. Go into that for me.
um, I fell into a space where I needed to know if there were more women who felt like I did and who were as sick as I was during my pregnancy and what they used and the relief they needed. And I didn't want to feel bad anymore for taking the step into owning my own how do you say, sorry, I get tongue tied,
That's
owning my
fine.
own body and not letting other influences change my mind of how I wanted my pregnancy to go. If I had no complications or anything, it's I needed control over that. And I wanted other women to take their power back when it
Mm.
came to their pregnancies and trusting their body and their instincts and going into the doctor's office and saying, no, this is what I need and what I want. And I think it's important. I think it's important for especially women of color to really use their voice and speak up. There's so many um, medical malpractices that happen that can be prevented if we educate women on. There's the holistic practices and different ways to ease pain during pregnancy and nausea and vomiting and
Mm.
being able to sleep. Like, it's so many things that go along with pregnancy that people don't know about. So I wanted to spread the word of we can do this naturally. This is what our body does, and let's continue that movement. And this is something that has helped me, and it may seem taboo, but it's not. And it's okay to speak up, and a lot of women are afraid to, and I want to take that fear away.
It definitely has seemed like a fear to me. It's from whether it's a spiritual, religious perspective,
Mm-hmm.
family, people at work, can't go to church, and
Mm-hmm.
people telling you what to do with your own stomach.
Yes.
When you're going through that transition
Mm-hmm.
into motherhood and then choosing your own relief, where in that space did family, influence come in? And then, yep, breathe, got one for you. And then your spouse, the person
Mm-hmm.
that you chose to have a child with, what was that whole?
It was actually kind of a relief that he was actually the one who influenced it and brought it to my attention
Mm-hmm.
and said, hey, maybe you want to try it. And with my family already being in the cannabis industry, I was a user,
Mm-hmm.
but I stopped the moment I found out I was pregnant. And he saw how sick I was, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. He said, do you want to try to smoke? And I'm like, oh no, I could never do that. Like, what's going to happen? And
Yeah.
I just kind of thought, I'm like, well, research, let me dig deeper. And the more I delved into it, I'm like, it's not that bad. And other women do it, but I noticed there was a lot of forums that women would hide their identities.
Mm.
And it's like they would do
Mm.
YouTube videos and hide behind the camera. And I'm like, why are you hiding?
Exactly.
And I'm like, I want to know what you know and how you feel. And once I felt comfortable enough, I was like, you know what? Let me try it. And when I did, instant relief, and I didn't look back. And I did get a little backlash from my family at first, but once I sat them down and explained it to them, it was like, oh, you have to do this. You have to, continue this. And I support it and I understand it. Like, once you put the evidence in front of people, the medication that they give us is harming our unborn child.
Mm.
And this is something that people have been using for years to help ease nausea and labor pains and everything, but it it doesn't want to be talked about.
Exactly. Exactly. I have a handful of friends that
Mm-hmm.
chose to consume whether smoking, edibles, even tinctures
Mm-hmm.
while pregnant. But just like you said, that fear,
Mm-hmm.
and they, whether or not it came from their family or from just social media,
Mm-hmm.
they all have that same thought that you did. The minute they got pregnant, I gotta stop
I gotta
using.
stop.
How does it get to that point? Like, what is the big
It's
don't do that? You
I think
know?
it's a societal thing.
Mm.
I think it's a you're a mom and you're looked at as a bad mother, but in all reality, if I can't take care of myself as a mother, I can't take care of my child. My body is sick. I don't know what to do. And I've talked to women, and I myself have felt like, should I terminate this pregnancy because I am that ill? And they're like, well, why would you smoke? And some things take longer to come into effect. And I'm like, if I'm actively vomiting, I don't have time to eat an edible and digest it because I may throw it back up. So
Mm.
smoking out of a bowl was more effective. I didn't use tobacco papers or any papers at all because I didn't know what was in them. So the little precautions that I could take to prevent either tobacco or any other chemicals, those are the precautions that I took. But as far as using the flour, um, for me, it was the best thing that I could have done to save my pregnancy, save my health because I was losing weight and it wasn't healthy. And to go to the doctor's office and they're like, well, he's perfectly fine. He's developing well. And I explained to the doctors that I use cannabis and you get that backlash as well. So, but I wanted to be as open and honest with them just in case something did happen in an emergency. I did not want to hide the fact that I used, but you are going to deal with the criticism
Mm.
on
And
top of the emotions.
you're going right into my next sort of point of conversation, and to all of those watching and listening, please be aware that we soon will be discussing very sensitive topics, including suicide and addiction. So please be aware of that, and listen at your discretion, watch at your discretion. But you did mention suicide
Mhm.
and abortion.
Mhm.
For many women who feel that they are just at the end of the rope when it
Mhm.
comes to the symptoms of being pregnant, the emotional side effects of being pregnant, do you think it adds on that some want to use and they can't, leading into more depression and then ultimately, well, if this is what I have to go through when I'm pregnant, I don't want to live?
Exactly, and because a lot of people have to think about, oh, well, my job's gonna drug test me, or
Mm.
they could take my kids away. I
Mm.
had a friend say, well, I'm gonna stop at my 36 week and cleanse my body because if they test me, they're gonna take my baby.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Wow.
you have to deal with those thought processes while while being pregnant, and it's a lot to deal with, and it's what people, the underlying issues that people don't want to pay attention to and don't want to talk about is, sorry, I may get a little emotional,
Take your time.
but it's like I'm using something that will help me and my child, but you want to take my child from me. Already, we live in a society where women of color are beat down. So
Yes.
to hear that is like, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? Because if I talk to somebody, I'm afraid that they may talk to somebody else and I may get in trouble for it. And I don't want women to feel that way,
Hmm.
because I'm like, no, it is your body and your child, and you have every right and every decision and every right to make whatever decision you want to make for that baby.
That goes back into your statement about power
Mm-hmm.
and taking that power back. Speak a little bit on that same power kind of being lost when women who are pregnant are faced with decisions in the church,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, or their spirituality. Did you personally have any negative or positive interactions with your maybe a religion or your spirituality, or have you encountered women who, you know, their following or their faith is that strong that they're denying that urge to consume, and
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm going to take this for God, I'm going to deal with this
Yeah,
pain.
I mean, a lot of people. I'm more spiritual than I am religious.
Mm-hmm.
So where I believe in what I believe, but
Mm-hmm.
I do have friends who are like, that's a sin. I can't do that. I may go to hell, or I may, they are very devoted to their religion, and I understand it. But I'm like, think about your health and your child at the end of the day. Like, this will ease that agony that you're going through. And I know people that were like, well, my family may not speak to me about this, or my family may report me, or the fact that I have a close friend who she didn't use while she was pregnant, but she did consume after the fact. And she had a family member report her. And she didn't have her children for a month.
Wow.
But it's okay for a woman to drink a full bottle of wine and consume a Xanax, and no one says anything. I think it's I just I would never understand it.
Well, that that speaks volumes to the old. There was a time when the old glass of wine, for instance, had become sort of a remedy for a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
for women, but not necessarily encouraged in the women of color or the
Yeah.
African American women community.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see too many ads or mentions of black women being suggested a glass of wine
Mm-hmm.
every
No.
day after
To
work.
relax,
Yeah,
and you
like,
have the kids, and it's not like that.
exactly. And so just that speaks a lot to how one is encouraged, but it's still being researched.
Mm-hmm.
But black women in cannabis, even though that's still being researched, that's not encouraged. Would you say that that is also one of the reasons? Just
Oh, most
the
definitely. We're
racial
looked at like
bias?
any
Yeah.
what. Sorry, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I will say
Tangent
that is a
away.
it is
Tangent
it is
away.
a it is a big thing, especially in the medical field. Especially, they paint the number of C sections that women of color get is beyond what it should be compared to white women who have insurance or may
Mm.
be of a certain tax bracket, whatever the case may be. It's preventative care doesn't pay their bills, and that's the problem. Is that they feel as if, okay, if we educate these women and we teach them that, you don't don't have to have a C-section. You can do this way and have a natural birth and to breastfeed. They do not encourage breastfeeding in the black community in
They
these
don't.
hospitals. They literally, you have the baby, they take them out, clip the cord, and there's no encouragement of skin to skin contact or delayed cord cutting. Most black women don't even know about that, but they
Hmm.
promote this in the white community, and they have the spas and the doulas and everything. All of that's, nice and up north, but in the black community they don't have that. They have the clinics, and they it's like a factory, and there's no education. There's no one being they're saying like, hey, stop, you don't have to go this way, whether you have insurance or not. You still have a choice of what to do with your body and your pregnancy and your birth and your plan, so forth. And the programs that they have for postpartum are nearly non-existent in the black
Mm.
community. But for
Mm.
white women, it's basically handed to them.
Mm.
Here's a program. We have programs for postpartum and this, that, and the other. And black women are looked at as you're unstable, you're crazy, or
Wow.
you're going through something, and they have their children taken away, not knowing that this woman is going through postpartum depression. She's not insane or a weed head, or so it's
Yeah.
those stamps and stigmas that they put on us that I want to stop. Is
Hmm.
that regardless of what color we are, we're women,
Yeah.
and we do the same thing. We get pregnant and we give birth, and what makes our bodies different.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Is there sort of any tunnel visioned ideal, scenario in the future that I could think of that would streamline a way for a pregnant woman to get the relief she desires? What could women who are pregnant, what could they tell their doctors other than, F what you say, I'm smoking this J? You know,
like how to
how
approach the
how to approach the situation so that, for instance, if a woman tells her physician, I'm choosing cannabis, I
mhm
understand you don't agree with it,
mhm
there has to be a fear of the physician not wanting to treat them,
mhm
or, you know, is it as easy as, well, get another doctor, or,
it surely is.
okay,
It's that
okay,
easy.
okay,
Because
that's what I need to
you
hear.
have a choice. And because that happened to me, I told my provider, I said, hey, I am a cannabis user. This has worked for me. I have had no issues. And they were trying to push medication and push this. And I'm like, they were like, we have to start you on aspirin. Ma'am, I've never had an aspirin a day in my life. So why would I introduce it to my body and my child at this moment?
Mm.
So you have a right to say that. And she said, well, I may not want to, I don't agree with this, that, and the other. That's fine. At 36 weeks, I found me a midwife and a doula, and they came on board, and I was honest with her. She said, whatever you do to ease your pain is, that's your choice.
I've been finding midwives and doulas, the population
Mm-hmm.
growing
Mm-hmm.
rapidly in the
Yes, I
black
love
community.
it.
It still seems to be underground.
It is.
What can doulas and midwives in diverse communities do to help women that they're assisting in the pregnancy process do about properly consuming? Should they get educated themselves? Should the
Oh, most
doulas maybe,
definitely. I mean, if they're on
go
board
to a
with it,
dispensary
yeah.
real quick,
I do. I do think it should be a part of. If you plan on having a natural birth, it should be a part of a pain treatment. I mean, a pain option. So you could say, hey, during this time of your labor, you may want to try this, or you can smoke herbs with it, like
Hmm.
smokable herbs or lavender, things to help relax. Those things should be taught as far as pain management.
Hmm.
And instead of, you don't need morphine and epidurals and all of these other things, they're gonna screw up what we're naturally doing. So I do think if midwives are interested to educate on what type of strains do what, or if she ate an edible, how long it would take, or this, that, and the other. Just different oils they can use, everything to help that process. So, because there's so many different products, the
Yes.
baths and the everything. I'm like, you can use all of this in this moment to ease this pain. Because right before I gave birth, I was like, hey, I'm gonna smoke this bowl real quick. And I was like, okay, focus. We
Right.
got about, let's go. And it helped. And it I don't think I wouldn't change it.
So take me back
Mm-hmm.
to that first prego puff. Put me
Oh, it
in
was
that
amazing.
moment.
I
How were
was
you feeling?
I was so nauseous that day.
Mm.
I was just out of it, laying on my bed,
Mm.
and my child's father came in and he was like, "I got something for you." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "Let me try." So it was Jack Herer too. It's my
What?
favorite
Nice
strain. Yeah, I
sativa.
love it. I was
Okay.
like, I wanted sativa because I needed the energy to be up. I didn't want to indica yet. So ground it up, put it in a bowl. The moment after I like and breathe, I was like, I put on some Queen. I started cleaning up,
Nice.
and it was a vibe. And I was like, "This is it." So he was like, "I got, I know what I got," and I was able to eat. I cried because I ate a full meal.
Wow.
I ate a full, and I haven't been able to do that in 16 weeks.
Wow.
So imagine being sick every day for 16 weeks.
And still trying to nourish
And still trying to
your
nourish.
child.
And at that, when I found out I was pregnant with twins. And as I got sicker and sicker, and then I went to the appointment, they were like, one of the twins didn't make it, and I knew it was because I was malnourished.
Mm.
And they're like, this happens all the time, and I'm like, why?
Why?
Why is this a normalcy? Why aren't you looking at why it's happening? Like we shouldn't have to suffer through pregnancy like that. If I mean everybody's body is different, but I know that through my situation and being that sick, I'm like, whew, I couldn't deal, but I knew I wanted, to continue my pregnancy. If there was nothing wrong with him, then I was like, let me continue this.
Gotcha. I think there's a certain topic a lot of people don't like to touch upon that I
Mm-hmm.
want to, and that's kind of giving it to the old generation that, on one hand, you know, I don't know too many, how can I say, seniors
Mm-hmm.
in the black community that if they are taking prescriptions,
Mm-hmm.
if they are,
Yeah.
they got at least five or more.
Yeah.
However, it will be that same population
Mm-hmm.
that will often discourage cannabis usage, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's recreationally or during a pregnancy or
Mm-hmm.
medicinally at all.
I have a good scenario for that. I actually have an aunt and uncle who
Mm.
are in their 70s. She's been a nurse. She was a retired nurse. And I brought it up to her. She's old fashioned, like, go to the hospital, epidural. And I was like, Auntie, I was like, I can't do that. And she was like, well, why? How does it work? What do you do? And I explained to her, I said, it's natural. We have these receptors naturally in our bodies. So I said, but I do, I make sure there's no tobacco products or anything mixed in there. And I know where I'm getting it from. And I said, it helps me. And I was like, the medication that they will prescribe you is known to give children heart problems or um, developmental defects. So I'm
Mm.
like, why would I do that? But there's no study to show that there's anything that's happened from pregnancy a woman who's consumed THC. There's nothing, no research found. So I'm like, what harm could it do? And
Mm.
she noticed how it helped me. Like I said, just watch me. And she saw how sick I was, and then how after I smoked, I would just, ooh, get on, do what I gotta do. And after that, she was like, I encourage it. And after his birth, she was like, wow, I just couldn't, I didn't think that this was possible. So I think that the more that it gets out there and the more people are open about it and able to see it instead of hiding it, it's people will be more receptive to it. And
And being receptive, it's to me the most important first step.
mm-hmm.
Like, okay, don't accept it, but at least be a little receptive to
Yes,
my need for it,
to understanding.
to understand it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important roles where that can be played is the partner or the
Mm-hmm.
spouse or the father of the child. And
Mm-hmm.
earlier you said that that was one of your most supporting parties. That was
Mm-hmm.
the person who gave you
Yeah.
the grass. But what about women who don't have that from their partner or their significant
mm.
other or the father of their child?
And that's the hard part, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm speaking out. It's just like you go to a Lamaze class. You need to go to this type of class so you can see, because you it's already hard to find that support.
Yeah.
So to be able to sorry, because
No, take your time.
I'm just thinking about how many women are just sitting there just wondering like how to what the fuck to do,
Yeah, yeah. Some
and
scared.
just beyond scared, but they're sick.
Yeah.
And I want people to really sit down with their partner or whoever and explain, like, look, I'm hurting, and if I don't consume this is what could happen or couldn't happen. And regardless, stand your ground.
Yes. Yes.
Stand, because it's your body and it's your health. Because if you can't have you together, then what else is there?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you put yourself in these situations to become sicker and sicker and sicker, and then so many black women die during childbirth. It's not just C-sections, it's death.
Mm.
And it's just looked over like it's nothing. So it is something that I want women to be passionate about, being healthy, and be passionate about being healthy for their children and in the pregnancy, because women do a lot.
Yes. Yes.
We do a
Yes.
whole lot, and mentally, it's we can only take so much.
Mm.
So it's taking back our power and taking back our voice to be like, this is what the fuck I'm doing. It works, and I'm gonna continue to do it. I my child has I've had doctors tell me, well, something's gonna be wrong with your baby. And I'm like, well, oh, if that's how you feel, it's your opinion. But I'm not gonna take synthetic medication. I'm not gonna um, add things to my body because you are placing me under a protocol. You're not looking at me as a patient. So I want women to understand that you are a whole person, and more than just a patient and a number, is that you are a whole person. Your whole body needs to be treated. Not just, it's just, oh, we're women and we have a vagina and we get pregnant. We have things that go on mentally.
Mm-hmm.
We have things that go on spiritually. So all of that needs to be healed. So I want men to understand too that you are the backbone, and you should be more open and receptive. Nobody's saying somebody has to blow the smoke in your face, or if you're just be a little open and try it and see versus knocking it.
Would you recommend women who maybe aren't in contact or aren't
Mm-hmm.
on good terms with that significant other?
Mm-hmm.
They maybe don't have the family support either. Um, there's a saying, you're never alone,
Yeah.
but when the woman feels alone,
Yeah.
what's the next step for her?
Mm. I
Would you
don't.
recommend therapy? Would you
Oh,
recommend maybe a group?
most definitely therapy. Most definitely starting within
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out where you stand as a woman.
Mm.
and then you can
Mm.
work from there. Because once you know what you need, it's like, okay, I know what I need. Let me find the tools. But we need those groups. We need those outlets because they aren't available to us like
Mm-hmm.
that, and we know that. So that's why we don't even go out and look for them.
Yeah.
We don't even
Yeah.
go out and ask because it's like, well, nobody's supporting this anyway. So that's the whole reason for this change. It's like we need to create a space where women can go. A pregnant woman walks into the dispensary, you know how many people are gonna give her shit? Like,
I know.
you don't want to feel,
Absolutely.
you want to walk into a place and be like, no, this is what I need. We need a space where women who are pregnant and maybe not have that support from a spouse or family or anybody to come and be like, this is, I don't feel well, or I may need to talk to somebody, or what could I do? I need help.
Mm. So it looks like that is a rewarding burden to be
Mm-hmm.
held by dispensaries and other cannabis companies
Mm-hmm.
to not necessarily encourage cannabis usage, but encourage women being more strong in their choice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you see ultimately one day, you know, you're walking past a public cannabis consumption
Mm-hmm.
tent, and people are walking in and out, they're able to consume and go about their way. Do you see the day when a pregnant woman, she's on the bus stop and she looks over and she sees the tent and she's like, I'm gonna go have me a toke real quick?
Yep.
Do you see the day coming where that can be done without someone saying, oh, that is
I think we're always going to have somebody saying
at
something,
least one?
at
Yeah.
least one. But I think there's going to come a day where a woman would be completely okay with going out doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wanted to get. It's like you're always gonna have somebody talking shit about you, regardless of what you do. But I want women to be like, well, I'm out and about and I'm feeling a little ill. Let me take my puffy puff and go on about my business. Versus, and feel okay and just
Yeah.
not worry about what other people think, because at the end of the day, nobody goes home with you. Nobody takes care of your child, so they don't know the ins and outs and the struggles of pregnant. You're growing an entire human being in your body. So things are moving and shifting and your bones are stretching and it's a lot. And I'm like, if I'm out and my hips are hurting
Oh my
because
goodness.
I'm about to go into labor in 3 weeks, I need to take a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to be able to do that and not feel like I'm going to be arrested.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Or it's like they're going to snatch my child from me because I didn't want to throw up.
Mm. Do you think there are advocacy groups for this right now that just haven't been discovered because this is such a taboo topic?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Um, because the research that I've done, it's just I've seen so many women, but it's private,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody wants to. Everybody's hiding their identity, or they're just like, oh, I'm just a mom and doing. I'm like, no, we need to see faces because we need other women to come out and be okay. So I feel like there's a lot of groups out there, but they're being pushed back because they're like, no, this is we can't talk about this. No, we need to talk
We
about
need
it.
it.
Like,
Yes. Yes.
we need to create this movement where we already have the government trying to control our menstrual cycles or our pregnancies and everything. It's like it's our bodies.
Yes.
So let's
Yes.
do what we want to do with them. If it's not causing any harm, and this is something that we've been doing for thousands of years
Mm-hmm.
naturally without all of this other equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Let my body do what it's gonna do. But I want
Exactly.
women to educate women into trusting their bodies to do it, because now we're stuck on you have to go to the hospital and find you have to do what your doctor says, and that no, that's backwards.
So it looks like sometimes simply starting with an alternative medical procedure or physician or even caregiver seems to be one of the first steps to taking that power back.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. That sucks. I mean, it's just really sad because it seems like whether it's pregnancy
Mhm.
or a debilitating condition,
Mhm.
that you have to kind of go outside of this person that you've been trusting for so long. They know
Yep.
your weight, they know what you're allergic
They
to,
know
they know
everything.
all of the literally ins and outs.
Mhm.
And now, hey, I want to use cannabis as bon voyage, but I think that goes a lot into the history of black people and
Mhm.
healthcare. We've always had to take that moment and say, you know what, I got ginger ale.
I'm
I'm
good. Yeah,
good. I'm just lay
exactly.
down. Some saltines.
Exactly.
So, Ashley, as like I said, you're one of the few women, let alone black women, that have chosen to speak out about this and receive other women's stories and perspectives.
Mhm.
This is going to be an amazing platform for someone to heal. And most importantly, for at least one woman to say, oh, there's
Yes, a
someone
sigh.
else.
Yes, a sigh of relief.
How can anyone reach
Mhm.
out to you, learn more about you, social media, email, whatever public whatever you want to put out there to reach out to public.
um, you can find me on Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram at Love Is My Art. You can email me as well as loveismyart@gmail.com if you have any questions or concerns or just want to know anything about what I've done so far. But it's a lot that I'm still learning and a lot more that I still want to put together. So it's a learning process for me and a growing process, but I want to share everything that I learned in the meantime with other women. So it's like, come on this journey with me and let's grow and we can do this because the experience that I had being pregnant and giving birth was something that I want other women to experience
Yes, yes, and
and that they deserve.
I was just gonna say this is more than long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
This is more than deserved to our community. And no, I don't see Huggies diapers having a commercial with the mom pushing the stroller and smoking a
No, no.
joint. I don't see that, but I do hope that what you're speaking out against
Mm-hmm.
leads the public, leads companies, leads more women to making it normal,
Yeah, it's
normalizing it.
so much that goes into this, even with breastfeeding and how it helped my lactation, and that,
Mm-hmm.
like it's so many other things that excuse me that we need to dive into and learn. So I'm like, let's just go, let's
Let's do
do
it.
it, let's
Yes,
do
yes,
it.
yes. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I thought I had my questions and my structure down. The next thing you know, I, I'm like, wait. What do you think about this? What do you think about this?
That's perfect.
I look forward to catching up with you and getting more information. And to all of those watching and listening, I will post resources down at the bottom of the blog, along with Miss Ashley's info, which is on Instagram at Love Is My Art. Sounds how it's spelled, right? All
Yes.
right, don't complicate it. And Love Is My Art at gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I once again want to thank you all for tuning in, and most importantly, thank you so much,
Thank you so
Ashley.
much
I
for
think
having
I
me.
hear John in the
Yes.
back. He's John. John is her adorable son, and I had the pleasure of meeting him. So I look forward to seeing how you know your cannabis usage, influence, how that guides you on your path to helping more
Yes.
women through this time.
I'm
Because
so excited.
this is big.
I'm
This
so
is big.
excited.
So, this is Canna Lady 86 saying thank you once again to Miss Ashley Bailey.
Thank you. Thank you.
And until next time, my bloggies, tune in to Clear as Smoke, where cannabis knowledge is for everyone. Say peace out, Ashley. All
Peace.
right, y'all. That was dope.